Okay, National 5s, we're back to our elements and principles and how we can use these to help us produce good DTP. So last time I left you with a little task of going through this little slide set here, just talking about some of our elements and principles. I got you to go away and rather than me give you some answers, get you to go away and recognise some of the terms. So your revised task was to go away, use the internet or use some research methods to find what the meaning of these words are, not just what the meanings are, but in relation to context, remember, to desktop publishing elements and principles. And I said if you go about it the right way, then you will find the answers without looking too hard, and you'll find them all in one spot. And again, after your due date, your due time for this, I will actually tell you how to, or show you how you could have actually got the answers. The reasons for doing this: during your exam, you will be given a piece of desktop publishing, and you'll be asked to comment on it, to say how something has been used or identify how something's been used. And most of the common ones we get are things like alignment, we get repetition, we definitely have unity, we'll talk about colour, dominance and depth are two other things which we need to be able to identify straight away. I'm not saying all the others aren't important, those are some of the main ones, and we'll concentrate, and as we go through some of the homeworks you'll see how that actually applies. So you need to be able to look at desktop publishing and recognise different principles. When it comes to your folio, you have to recognise the different elements and principles and then create desktop publishing yourself using those elements and principles. So it may well tell you that you have to create, for example, say a web banner for a shop, and you must use depth, you must use line, and you have to explain how you've used that or identify how you've used that. So this bit's quite important, and it's something we'll work on all the way through the year. So normally my projects that we do in class, when we are working on Inventor, things like this, I'll try and link in some desktop publishing to the objects as well, so that you can continue to work on this and get better at it. So that was your revised task, was to go away and find out then. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go through some of these words now and what the meanings are, and I'm going to use this slide set here, which you'll get as a PDF. So I've used this for a few years, and essentially these are pretty much taken from a book, okay? But they're good. The visual impact lets you see straight away, shows you ideas as well, so it can help with a bit of creativity if you are not the most creative in the class. We are skill building, remember, not expecting everybody to be able to come up with something straight away, but it is something you need to practice and get better at. It's even going back, it's stuff we've done in first year, it's just going a little bit more depth. And definitely if you've been doing S2, S3, yes, you'll be familiar with some of the terms and you'll be able to maybe apply them a bit faster than others, but there's no reason why everybody can't do this and have something creative from it. Okay, my little box up here, this tells us I'm going to talk about unity, repetition and harmony all in the same page, okay? And why these elements are important. So I'm just going to start at box 1 here. Unity, if you remember back, unity is the definition of that is linking things on a page, things which are connected on the page. So it can be connected through fonts, can be connected through colour, can be connected through elements, or even physical contacts. So the first one here is shown here is just a simple phone, and for that phone there we are looking at the overlap of the phone and style, the word. So the overlapping creates the unity, the connection between the two parts here. Moving to the second slide here, again we have similar effect by positioning the object over the individual lines. So we're using line here as well to actually create a physical contact between the phone and the background here. So again, it almost makes us think that the phone is sitting on something physical. If we look at repetition, because this is also showing repetition, this slide here, if we look at repetition here, repetition is a repeating of elements within a page. Okay, so I have two lines here, there's more than one of them, it's a simple repetition. So again, with the blue lines here, it creates unity as well, using the blue here and the blue with the phone. So repetition, more than one of them. I'm not saying it's a great layout, by the way. Repetition with the two blue lines, and then the unity with the colour of the lines and the actual physical colour of the phone itself. So that helps unify there. If we overlap the image, coming down to the bottom down here, Okay, if we overlap the image, then again we can create unity here. This time we've got a difference in the colour which is close to the blue on the colour wheel. So this is looking like a bit like a violet, I suppose, but a little bit lighter than that, so moving more towards the blue. Then we can have this harmonious colour rather than a contrasting colour. And again, the effect, the flash bar connects to the object, so the object is sitting on this thicker line. Flash bar is really just a line, it's just thickness, you change the weight of it. So from here we have thinner lines, here we just create it thicker. And then over here we have put our text here, which links in with the form. So again, overlapping the image here can create this effect of unity. 3 little circles here, well, hopefully you should be able to tell me now, these are repetition. So they are repeating through the objects. And again, we've got a bit of unity going on with the colours, because they are similar in colour here as well. Wrapping the text around the image so I can get the text to actually flow around the image. And again, when we're on the computers we get a bit of practice at that, but again it's another effect we can use to unify and connect objects together. And my last one here is looking at colour, repetition, and again, so the repetition of the dots down here, we've got the flash bar, and we've got the position of the object in front of the flash bar. So these are all kind of linking things together, all kind of joining things up together. And I'm not saying these are the best examples of unity. You know, we could talk about unity through the font style as well, but we've not got enough words on that yet. So as we go through, we'll get more complex DTP and work on that as we do it. These are designed to keep things simple. Okay, if we move to the next one, here's my little blue boxes telling us alignment is our effective method to improve the structure of the layout. So a good alignment makes a page easy to follow, makes it neat and sharp. So remember these, what I'm telling you about this here with alignment, because again that can be an advantage of alignment. What does it actually do to a page? Alignment is something we covered in first year as well, thinking about how we position stuff on our tickets or on our posters, thinking about left, right or centre alignment. Sometimes we also have justified. I'm not going to go over the individual terms just now because I need to go into some DTP software to do that, but I can talk about, you know, hopefully you remember some of that from before and you can look at that when you have got your definition for alignment. First slide here is really just showing something where someone has created this advert for a juice bottle and not really thought too much about where they've put everything here. It's kind of everything's thrown at the page. And if you put these red guidelines, which we get on the computer, you can see how everything lines up, or in this case, does not line up. So the whole idea is to use some form of structure or some form of alignment to link things together, position them so that they look neat and tidy. It says up here, remember, neat and tidy, neat and sharp. So for the most part, this one's just using left alignment. How do I know it's left alignment? Well, all the words down this side are all lined up with each other, and at this end here they go in and out, so it's left alignment. Same with these two here, is left alignment. I'll cover alignment later as we go through some other parts. This time, if you look at this here, now if you look at the boost and the fresh, they've been lined up with the text down here, that's much neater. Underneath here we've got the fresh here, kind of links along now to the top of the bottle. I suppose they're trying to link this little bit of text here and maybe with the bottom of this here. I'm not sure if that works quite so well, but again that's something you could think about. So again, thinking about how we position stuff. It doesn't mean everything has to be all down the left hand side. It just means that things line up with each other. Personally, maybe the bottom of the bottle, maybe that could have moved up under there, I don't know. When we do these on the computer, you try multiple versions so you can see which works best. All you need to think about of his alignment though is making your layout a little bit more neater, a bit tidier, instead of just having stuff randomly thrown onto the page. Depth is one of probably the easiest ones to pick out. So when we create a page, we are creating a 2D page. And we're trying to create this illusion of depth, this 3D look. It just makes it look more eye-catching, makes it look more realistic. So here are the methods to achieve depth, and some of them you might have used already. Simple one is just to put a line or an object at the back of the object of your main object here. So my hairdryer here is my dominant, and again that's one of our terms, and my dominant thing on the page. It's the largest thing on the page. If it's just a white page, it looks a bit bland, so use a line here at the back of it. So you know it's at the back. So you can see there, it runs through here, I can see the front of the object, so it's hidden behind the handle here. If we make our flash bar a little bit wider and a little bit thicker and use a receding colour, the red is an advancing colour so it stands out. So it makes, it brings it out from the page. So again, the use of colour can be quite important as well in terms of trying to create effects. The simplest effect to create depth can be using this drop shadow. So you see there, here's the object and we've got this one. I don't know why it's got 3 shadows on it. A simple shadow at the back of something gives the impression that light is shining onto it and it has some depth associated with it. So again, you can use drop shadows fairly effectively to create a 3D effect. And do more than that, by the time you add your text in, it will improve the look of the page. Oops. Background images, yeah, you can insert an image. I think we're all quite capable of putting images now, changing the order, doing some work on the back of this as well. And again, not talked about this yet, but I've kind of dulled this out a little bit to make it more transparent. So again, the use of a background colour or change will help as well, and you can change the settings on it on the computer obviously. Bit of repetition going on here, 3 different things. But again, because these are smaller than the main object here, it creates this effect of depth. This is at the front of the front, and these are at the back. So again, a couple of combinations here, and again, still with a little single line flash bar here to create depth as well. And again, if I add some text to here, I can put the text at the back of the object, and again, it creates. So not only have we got some unity in here, but we're also creating depth at the same time. And again, look at the font. The font is kind of interesting. It's not just a standard font, it's looking at something which is quite modern and fancy. Our last one to look at today is the use of line. So line is an effective technique to enhance it. A few different things about line going on here. Okay, so we'll just kind of talk through, and I think there's a couple of things in the page which I'm not happy with, but that's how they've imported in, so I'll cover that as I go through it. Here's our original advert here. You can see it's a bit disconnected. This is just kind of flung on its own. We've got the text up here and a bit of text down here. If we bring some line in, so we're bringing in line to create repetition. So these 2 here and these 2 here, they are also symmetrical, but they've flipped. So I could have symmetry here and here, but to make it more interesting, symmetry by flipping it to the other side. So that creates something which links from the left hand side to the right hand side of the page. Also, you can see my little drop shadow this time, a little bit more effective on the hairdryer here, which again creates that depth. And by the line going at the back of here, you're also creating depth here as well. So look, we're creating multiple uses of elements and principles just by a few simple steps here. This time, change the position of the line. So the line's here. So the line here, in theory, when you see a line like this, it's leading you across a page. You're following this one here, you get to here, oh, there's my object here. So thinking about that as we go through, why is that line being added there? Oh, it's kind of guiding you along to the page, so links it together. And again, creative use of line. Hairdryer makes me think of movement. Movement makes me think of lines which are not straight. So creating these fancy lines here, nothing special, but just creating the element, and it makes me think of movement, the impression of movement. And again, that might be quite important later on as well, and thinking about the task that's going to come up. So time for a task, and you'll maybe see the link in terms of those pages I've just shown you there, and trying to link it in with the task I've got for you here, so that you've got some progression and you're not kind of having to think straight away on your feet. Okay. Okay, so I want you to create a business card for one of the following businesses. You don't get to choose other ones. You stick with these ones. Why? Because the SQA are very good at coming up with things which are mundane and boring when it comes to actually selecting stuff, and you'll see that through some of the assignments. If you want to see one of the assignments, remember I showed you the SQA webpage. You can go on there and look at a previous assignment, and you'll see that sometimes it's quite tricky. They're not going to give us something which is dead easy. It's going to be something which is a little bit trickier. So I've chosen a flower shop, music, toy shop, cafe, sports shop. So I've kind of tried to vary it a little bit. Business card, well, I think we know what a business card is. Something we hand out to someone, something which is going to stand out if they're going to look through it, looks interesting, something you're going to remember them by. A couple of little examples here. So I want you to create me 3 thumbnails from this list here. So you're only choosing one of these. So for my flower shop, if I choose the flower shop, I'm going to create 3 individual thumbnails. which must use the following design principles. So we're using alignment, we're using unity, and we're using depth. So you have to use all three of those on each of your designs, and your designs need to be significantly different from each other. I don't want to see 3 variations of the same thing. So vary your colour, vary your layout, and vary how you maybe achieve these as well if possible. What I'd also like you to do in each design is to annotate where you've used the design element, and if possible, say why you've used it. I say if possible. Again, it comes down to explanations. Again, if we're in the classroom, different kind of lesson, and I can do different things with you. So have a go at trying to tell me. I'll show you a wee example in a second. When you do the task, you can do it manually or digitally. So I'm not looking for a big, massive A4, if you've got A4 paper, one business card per A4 sheet. Remember, it's thumbnails. Thumbnails should be created quickly. Okay, they're not to an actual scale, but they should have all the information that helps me decide which one I want to take forward from a business. Okay, so if we are doing it manually, try and use colour. Try and avoid using a graphite pencil when you start off. So my example, if you're using your font colour, if it's going to be red, then use a red pencil from the start. Problem is, grey pencils are harder to get rid of all the work round about it, so you have to lean harder on the pencils to get rid of it, or you have to rub out and then go back over. So when I do sketching or rendering, I try and do it in the colour which the object's going to be. Thinking about your fonts, try and be creative. Research what fonts might fit with your choice of shop. So again, you can go on to, I think everybody's used a font, there's plenty of free websites, you don't have to download anything, you just need to look at fonts and think, well, that's a bit better than what I thought it could do. So try and give me something creative, but it will depend on your choice of shop, so try and link it to that. And again with images, research. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm not looking for artistic sketching, but a reasonable likeness to the object you're trying to put in. And it doesn't have to be a 3D sketch, it could be a 2D sketch. Have a look when you do your research. And that brings me on to that research. It is always important to carry out some form of research into the topic you're doing. So I'd expect you to go away and look at business cards and look at how they are done. Look at what works, what doesn't work. You can discuss this with family as well while you're doing this. Doesn't mean to say that you copy an answer off the internet. It just means the information is there to inspire your own design. So don't just go copy something and think, right, I'll get that done and out of the way. Research is important. During your assignment, you do not get access to computers, so any research you do has to be done outside of the school, and then you bring it in your brain. I've given you a few days to do this, so it means I expect some neat and tidy work, okay, and nothing missed out on it. If you've got problems and you're not sure, you need to post me a message, ask me a question, okay, ask at home as well, because I would expect any parent, helper, anybody who's round about you, older brothers, youngers, they can help as well. You can get them involved in this. So you have to time to think about it and plan it rather than just rush it through. Remember, we're skill building, and I know that not everybody's got access to your normal class resources. So that obviously I do make allowances for what you can and can't hand in. Okay, but it doesn't mean to say that I'm not looking for something that's been done in 5 minutes. Okay, that's why I've given you some extra time. Talk you through this last little bit here. So here is an example of a business card I found where I thought, yeah, it exhibits some of the elements. It's no particular shop as such at the moment. So looking at it here, we have the use of colour. So we've got some nice contrast here with the bright orange contrasting with the black. So orange and black do contrast quite well. Again, orange and grey could work. Thinking about the colour schemes, that's effective. We've got this hexagon in the middle here, which is black, and you can see there it overlays this part here. Now, how do you get this different from here? Well, look, if you look at the hexagon here, you can see the shadow that they've created. This is the use of a drop shadow it creates. What does it do? What's the hexagon doing? It's coming off the page towards you. It creates depth. So the shade that you've used here is probably the same as the one here, but this one, so it's not a pure black here. It's a bit coming towards a grey, and then allowed the black here, and then it fades back into here. So this is how you get this one standing out. I think that's quite clever. It works quite well. So depth is created by the drop shadow, making the hexagon stand out. I've not just said depth by drop shadow. The making it stand out bit is the text I'm looking for, telling me what it does. Okay. If I move across to here, let's just look, all the text is left aligned to make it look organised. So, yep, all these are organised, nice little symbols down here, these are all aligned as well. And then we've got the alignment for this here is also lined up with this, so that's alignment as well if I wanted to point that out. So alignment, and again alignment here, we've got this part here, these are all aligned here as well, so that's quite clever, so that works out quite well. And again, they've varied their font size here to actually kind of make the Marksmith as the main part, and then this kind of almost fits in all the way underneath it. That makes it look quite organised as well. And the use of line here draws your eye towards that and along the way here. In fact, the hexagon's almost like pointing towards information here. Last part is the unity. So the easiest piece of unity on here is this orange colour that we've got here. So this nice orange background, and again, it's almost like part of a hexagon here if you think about it underneath. This orange colour here, and this small piece of orange bar here, which again draws your eye towards this piece of information. This is our unity. Okay, so there are different ways of actually applying one. I could also say there's unity in terms of the font that's being used. It's a very modern font, and you can see the same font here looks like the same font here. So again, unity through the use of font. Okay, so that's kind of a little example. This is the sort of thing I'm looking for. 3 different ideas. This is obviously for a different shop. This is for me to explain it. When you go do your research, you find something which is a bit more interesting and making it look attractive to me. So I won't be back in touch again. I'll give you till probably Friday to do that, so that gives us 3 days, and then I'll come back and we'll see how you've got on with that. Last little bit, just looking at my last little example here, and again the reason for doing this one was the use of shape. So if I look at the shape here, we've got the red, so you can see red going slightly darker. This is, remember our colour theory, so this is going slightly changing our tints and shades. Okay, so again, looking at our alignment here, looking at our unity through the colours, through the objects, the shape. The shape is leading our eye through the page. We've got a little bit of alignment here. This is centre alignment this time. So the slogan, the company name, and the little object down here. A little variation in the colour here to make it stand out. And again, looking at the white one here as well, slight difference. Looking at the use of shape. The use of shape and colour can be quite effective. There's no particular name for the shapes and colour here, just a bit random, but I do think they look quite interesting. So again, something you want to think about as we go through and you try your designs out. Good luck, look forward to seeing some of the examples, and if we get some nice examples in, we'll maybe post them up and see who has the best solution. Okay, good luck.